And now we're moving on to immigration and border security. Lots to talk about. Kamala accusing Trump of sabotage, Trump accusing Haitians of eating pets. There's an interesting sidebar in this exchange involving crowd sizes we can talk about. Check out this clip.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. Vice President Harris, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
The United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, in Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying
manager.
their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
This actually is a very interesting exchange for a couple of reasons, but let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. What do you think of the fact checking right there by ABC? By what's his name? David Muir?
I mean, I would assume that like no one is eating like pets and animals. I mean, and they went all the way to call the mayor and ask. I mean, well,
they called the city manager to try to clarify.
Sorry.
Now the question is like, do people eat pets? Probably. You go around America, you could probably find some people that eat pets. I mean, that, you know, now whether or not they're immigrants and that's an immigrant thing, or whether or not it's even happening in Springfield, which the city manager says is not happening. You know, it's one of those things where it's just like, there's like a little bit of like maybe truth, because it's like, are people maybe eating pets? Obviously, there was that video of that woman in Ohio, even though that was like 200 miles away from Springfield, and she wasn't like, she was an American citizen. She's arrested for eating a pet. But they like to, you know, they tried to take that clip and put it into the Springfield Pet Conspiracy. But it's like the story, I don't know if Trump comes off that well during this fact check when he's like, the people on TV, they were saying, like, I think it sounds kind of like old manish a little bit. It really does show his age a little bit. How, and I do want to say that the people he's talking about, these are all secondhand reports. These are all people outside of like a Food for Less that's saying like, I heard this happened. So it's like, I mean, how much credibility can you place on that? From my understanding, though, this story started by a literal Nazi. Like at the city commission, like there is footage of a Nazi addressing a city commission meeting, and he says it. This isn't hyperbole. He says like he's a member of a group called Blood Pride, and he's marched with swastikas, and he's the one that and maybe I'm wrong here that this is where it starts, but this is where I trace that claim back to. And I just thought it was so, and I hated that it started with a Nazi, because it's so hard, like when you're talking about Trump and lies and you go, oh, he's repeating Nazi talking points, and then it automatically, like, you feel like people are going to discredit you because you've invoked the name Nazi. But this story is so bizarre. I'm interested to hear your take, Nirati, on this story. What have you heard about the Springfield Pet Conspiracy?
I've seen a lot on social media about it. I didn't know that much about it, but like from the only official things that I've heard is that no pets were like stolen or eaten or whatever. I really don't know like what to trust. I just think it's so bizarre that is what's being talked about here. Did you laugh when you heard it? Yeah, I laughed, but I was also really concerned. It's just shocking to me that that's what's being talked about. Now,
there's truths in the sense that in Springfield, there was an influx of Haitian immigrants.
Yeah.
But they're not illegal. There's a work shortage in Ohio, and they're there illegally working manufacturing jobs.
I think especially when you bring up the fact that they're legal, like they need workers, like they were brought here to work. I just think it looks so bad for Trump to go and say that on TV. I think it reflects very badly on him as a person. I just feel like it looks so careless to go and say, yeah, like immigrants are just eating all these animals. I feel like it looks almost uneducated on his part. It's like offensive to a lot of people. I don't think that looked good on him at all.
What did you think of the sidebar involving Kamala brought up crowd sizes, possible trigger there? Some said that it was bait, laid down, and Trump took it hook, line, and sinker. What did you think of that sidebar? Because it's another thing. It's like, why are we talking about this in the middle of this debate on immigration? So what were your thoughts on that sidebar?
I think throughout the debate, he was also attacking her a lot, and I think she kind of indulged in it. She kind of like went with it, and then she attacked his rallies, which everyone knows his rallies are precious to him. He likes his rallies. He's known for his rallies too. I think. Yeah, he definitely took the bait. He spent a good deal of time talking about it. He started his response to her with first, like, let me talk about the crowd size rallies. So I think it's a bit immature to be talking about it, using the time that they're given to talk about rallies and, like, paying people to attend and people leaving. And he's saying, oh, yeah, like, people love my rallies. I think he took the bait, but she also like engaged in something that she would hope to distinguish herself from. I think she would, if given the choice, she would want to say that she's not the type of person to go on stage and discuss rallies when you're talking about immigration.
So I think it was strategic from Kamala to bring up the rallies, because I think she was trying to obfuscate from Biden's record on immigration, trying to turn the conversation into a soundbite. Essentially. However, I also think that the Springfield pet eating conspiracy was also a political strategy on Trump's part, because I'm sitting there going, I think this is an obviously false story. I think Trump knows it. I don't think Trump's as dumb as some people think he is. I think he's smart, and I think he's savvy, especially in terms of politics. Now what I'm thinking is, so we talked about the crowd sizes. We talked about the Springfield pet. That's what anyone's talking about. And now no one's talking about the Border Act of 2024, which is great for Trump, because that doesn't look good for Republicans, And so I'm thinking when Kamala brought it up, she's saying, let me explain this bill. It was a bipartisan bill. I mean, I looked at the history of that bill. It looks like Mitch McConnell praised that bill. It was indeed a bipartisan bill. As far as I'm concerned, Democrats bent over backwards. They excluded the Progressive Caucus. They excluded the Hispanic Caucus. Meanwhile, the Republicans didn't stop the Freedom Caucus, they're hardliners from killing the bill. They didn't stop. They lied about the bill, specifically about the 5,000 illegal immigrants that were allowed to cross daily. You know, that's not in the bill. The bill ends catch and release. And also we're talking about encounters, not crossing. But besides that, and then to run up the score, to sort of twist the knife, you know, they impeached the Secretary of Homeland Security. So it's like, I think this is a very bad look for Republicans, because this was an honest effort by a lot of, and there are Republican lawmakers, this was an honest effort by them to solve the issue that's plaguing the border. But I think bringing up the pets is smart. I think, yeah, bring up the pets. Let's not talk about the Border Act. Have you heard about that act, by the way?
Yeah. I was actually looking, when I watched the clip, I was looking over it. But I think when you say it was a good strategy to bring up the pets, I think that kind of reflects what I wanted to watch the debate for. I wanted to learn about policy and how he would respond to that. Like, I wanted to see him talk about the act. I wanted to see him like not avoid talking about it, but again, that's politics, and I feel like for me, I have a hard time separating them. I feel like I think I expected them to talk strictly policy, and instead all these things were brought up. So I think that kind of reflects why it's like a debate and not like, yeah, just like a...
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could talk about this more, but I think if we did, our episode would be longer than the debate itself.